We are just days away from the end of voting in Virginia's race for governor. Polls are showing a tight race between Republican Glenn Youngkin and former Democratic Governor Terry McAuliffe. Both candidates have received support from prominent politicians in their respective parties, including President Biden and former President Trump. The outcome of this race is being looked at as this year's biggest indicator of where things stand heading into the midterms. Let's bring in CBS News reporter Sarah Ewall-Wice. Sarah traveled to Virginia to speak with voters about what issues are most important to them. Hi there, Sarah. So tell us, where exactly did you go to speak with these voters, and what issues did they say mattered most?
Hi, Elaine. So I went to Fairfax County, which is in northern Virginia, to speak with voters. It is the county with the most voters in the state, and a very important one in terms of this election. And, you know, there were a couple of different things that really stood out. Democrats are still telling me that the handling of the coronavirus pandemic is a top issue for them. Republicans are telling me that the economy is one of the top issues for them. So those are party-based responses that I got. But, you know, one thing that both parties are now seizing on is education. I spoke to voters, both Republicans and Democrats, who told me it is their top issue. And I want to play some sound from them. The first one is a Republican who voted for Glenn Youngkin today. And the second one is from a Democrat who's actually a teacher, but said she voted for McAuliffe also because of education. Let's listen.
Youngkin is for the schools, and I had children in schools at one time. And right now, I would homeschool with the way things are right now. But I listen to Youngkin and I think, yes, right on.
I was a teacher in Fairfax County for quite a while, and I appreciated, you know, what he did for the schools and continues to do.
So, you know, those two voters both talking about education. Glenn Youngkin has really seized on this in the final weeks of this race, talking about teachers having a say in what is taught. But, you know, Democrats are seeing that messaging, and they're coming out and saying, well, we support McAuliffe and what he has done for education in the past. So that is actually an issue that is driving both parties at this point in time, which is something we were not expecting probably a couple months ago in this race, that this would be one of the deciding issues.
Well, Terry McAuliffe and those hitting the campaign trail for him are focusing on former President Trump. What are voters saying about that particular approach?
You know, this is something we have been hearing nonstop from Democrats on the campaign trail, trying to tie Glenn Youngkin specifically to President Trump, and also talking about that January 6th attack at the Capitol as well. So, you know, that is something that's being really pushed by those on the campaign trail. But, you know, when I talk to voters, it really isn't something that is coming out as their priority. Both Democrats and Republicans spoke to me about this. I want to play some sound from them. First, a Republican, this isn't driving him away from the party. And then a Democrat who's also saying, you know, this is something we're looking at, but also wasn't his top issue. Let's listen.
President Trump is no longer president. I don't care what President Trump is doing. I'm focused on issues.
Absolutely, because people still follow those philosophies. Even though he's not in the office, he's still very influential in the minds of a lot of people.
So, yes, he's not in office, but still on the minds of a lot of people, according to that Democrat. Some have told me that have been out voting, that is why they showed up to vote in terms of Democrats. They said it's still former President Trump, top issue for them. But others have said, you know, we want to move on from President Trump. They're not going to vote for Republicans, but they want to hear more about the other issues in this race, even though this continues to be one of the main threads as we hit the campaign trail.
Well, Democrats are working on their agenda in Washington, but as we've discussed, it has been slow moving. Here's what one voter had to say about it.
An inability to reach any kind of compromise among the Democrats is affecting what's going on throughout the country, including here in Virginia. And, you know, I do find it very disconcerting.
So, Sarah, you know, there is concern, but is it really impacting how they vote?
So, you know, there is concern, but is it really impacting how they vote? Well, you know, Elaine, I think that the concern is that the Democrats are seeing that this is something that is coming out as their priority. Both Democrats and Republicans spoke to me about this. I want to play some sound from them. First, a Republican who's also saying, you know, this is something we're looking at, but also wasn't his top issue. Let's listen.
So, Sarah, you know, there is concern, but is it really impacting how they vote?
You know, it's interesting because this is being brought up on the campaign trail. I think there are some voters, specifically Democrats, that are frustrated with their party. They're disappointed more has not gotten done. But that voter is a Democrat, and she did vote for McAuliffe. And other Democrats I've spoken to, even though they may be frustrated, it's not like they're going to go and vote for Republicans in this. So this really comes out as who's going to not show up at all. That comes out to turnout in this race. It'll be interesting to see what Democrats showed up in 2020 and then don't show up in this off year. But again, it is an off year, which means they aren't expecting the same levels of turnout anyway. So Democrats are paying attention to what's happening specifically in Washington, but it's not changing their votes. In terms of Republicans, they also kind of focus more on the Virginia issues, according to those I've spoken to. So this really comes down to independents and seeing who stays home come next Tuesday.
All right. It is always so fascinating to hear directly from voters. Sarah Ewall-Wice, we thank you for bringing that to us.
Thanks, Elaine.